Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we've got a seriously chilling story for you. It's about a young guy whose dream school, well, it turned into an absolute nightmare. And get this, he says the whole thing is backed up by a real news report. So, let's dive in.
So imagine hearing this from your own son. It's just terrifying, right? This is what he told his mom after his dream of joining the Merchant Navy took a very, very dark turn. So how did he get here? What happened? Let's unpack it.
All right, let's set the scene. We're heading back to 2018 in Pune, India, and we're following a young student who has just achieved his biggest childhood dream. Everything's looking up.
So this wasn't just some whim. Ever since he was a kid, he looked up to his grandfather and knew he wanted to join the Merchant Navy. And he worked for it, you know? He studied like crazy, aced the super tough entrance exams, coming in 118th in his whole state, which is amazing, and he got into the MANET Academy. I mean, this is a huge deal. You can just imagine how proud his family was when they dropped him off to start this brand new chapter.
But you know that feeling you get when something just isn't right? The moment they walked into his assigned room, that's what hit them. The family, and apparently they're pretty sensitive to this kind of stuff, they just felt this weird, unsettling energy. The room had plenty of light, but it felt heavy. Something was definitely off.
So, trusting that gut feeling, his dad goes right to the warden. "Hey, can we get a different room?" he asks. But you know how it is. Bureaucracy. The warden says, "Nope, sorry, a change isn't possible for at least 10 days. So, what could they do? He had no choice but to stay put, right there in the room that was giving all of them the creeps.
Okay, so the first day goes by. It's totally normal. He's excited, meeting new people, starting a new chapter. But then comes the second night. And that's when that weird feeling in the room decided to show its hand in a really, really scary way. He has this dream, or nightmare, I should say. He dreams his two roommates are right there in the room, and they get into this horrible, violent fight. It was so vivid he could hear them screaming at each other. And then, the moment one of them lands a punch, bam! He's jolted awake, heart pounding, in a cold sweat. But the scariest part? He could feel blood all over his face and body, like he was literally covered in it, even though he wasn't. And things just spiraled from there, and fast. I mean, look at this timeline. After that nightmare on day 2, by day 4 he's sick, like really sick. He's got a cold and a fever, but no medicine helps at all. And then Sunday rolls around, and everything just completely falls apart. Now, to really get how bizarre this next part is, you have to know something about this kid. His family had a nickname for him, Pathardeel, which means stone-hearted. Crying? Showing emotion? Just not his thing. He was the guy who was always in control, and that's exactly why what happened next was so shocking.
So his dad comes to pick him up for a Sunday visit home, and this stone-hearted kid just starts crying, and he can't stop. Back at the house, it gets even worse. He's pacing around, super anxious, and he's crying nonstop for 2 solid hours. His best friends, guys he's known his whole life, they come over, and he can't even talk to them. It was like he was a stranger in his own body. His family knew right away this was way, way more than just being a little homesick.
And right in the middle of this total breakdown, the student himself comes to this absolutely horrifying conclusion. It wasn't just sickness. It wasn't homesickness. He was convinced he was possessed. I mean, can you imagine? He's completely desperate. He starts begging his parents to call his uncle. Now, this uncle is someone in the family who, let's just say, has a reputation for dealing with spirits and that kind of thing. The guy you call when things get really weird. So while they're waiting for the uncle to get there, his brother does what any of us would do in 2018, right? He pulls out his phone and starts Googling. He types in the name of the academy, the hostel, and what he finds is a news story that just makes everyone's blood run cold.
There it was, a news article. It detailed the death of a cadet from years ago. And how did he die? He was killed in a fight. And where did it happen? In that exact same room. Suddenly, it all clicked into place. That nightmare? It wasn't a dream. It was a memory.
And just then, the uncle arrives. He doesn't need to hear the whole story. He just holds the student's hand for a moment, and that's all it takes. He looks at the family and confirms their absolute worst fear. He tells them, yes, he's been possessed by a restless spirit. The spirit of the very boy who died in that room, whose own dreams were cut short before he could ever live them. So the uncle does a ritual, he frees him from the spirit, but even after that, the family is left shaken. trying to pick up the pieces and really understand the full, chilling story of what just happened. And when they pieced it together, the parallels were just insane. Every single detail of his nightmare was a perfect match for the real tragedy. The violent fight? Check. The location? In that room? Check. And then, the final horrifying detail, he found out that the cadet who was killed, he slept in the exact same bed our student was assigned to, the one right by the window. The coincidence is just impossible.
So after that, what do you do? With a connection that dark and that direct, staying at his dream school it was off the table. It wasn't an option. The risk was way too high. His family was convinced his life was literally in danger if he stayed there.
So they take him back to campus to officially withdraw. They're probably expecting paperwork, maybe some difficult questions, but what they walked into, nobody could have prepared them for that.
It turns out they were not alone, not even close. There was a huge crowd of students and parents there for the exact same reason. That day, 84 other cadets were also canceling their admissions, getting out of there. He was the 85th.
And you might think, oh, maybe it's just new students getting homesick. But nope. Among the crowd was a third-year student. Someone who's been there, who's settled in. For him to be leaving too, that tells you something. This mass exodus, it basically proved he wasn't crazy. It showed something was seriously wrong at that academy. So where does that leave him? Well, the story wraps up with a pretty chilling warning from his uncle. The uncle believes that the spirit, it now knows his scent. It can follow him. The only good news? He says it can't enter a home where there's prayer. So he has this small bubble of safety, but he's forever tied to the ghost of Room 108.
And remember, the person telling the story swears there's a real news article to back it all up. Which makes you wonder, right? This isn't just about one ghost in one room. It's about what happens when a place has a dark secret, a story it doesn't want told. It really makes you think, how many places that we go to every day, schools, offices, hospitals, have a history they'd rather keep buried? And what happens when someone like this student accidentally digs it up?